Hey folks, thanks for joining us today. Those of you that are coming off the NinjaTrader webinar that we just held, thank you very much again for showing some interest here. And we're going to be going through some like really basic stuff just to slow it down a bit here and go piece by piece so that you guys have an opportunity to understand how to build certain things in BloodHound. And before we do that, however, I just want to send out a couple polls here and see if I can get a feel for. It looks like the polls did not update. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's try this out. So I've got a couple questions just to ask you guys. First of all, I just want to know what your level of trading is, so we can sort of custom tailor this workshop better for you guys. So go ahead and just answer that. And it looks like we have the vast majority of you guys would consider yourselves intermediate, and for a number of you guys would say you're experts. And I did stick master in there because I think the vast majority of people would never consider themselves masters of the markets. I don't know if that's even attainable, but I did put there nonetheless if you're at that extreme level. So I'm not surprised to see no one's put that in there. I don't think any human on this earth would probably claim themselves as a master. Just ask the market, see if that's even possible. A couple of you guys have just started, and some very small amount of you are just beginners. Yeah, that's precisely. David just mentioned that 7 years of active trading is still on the journey. That's definitely for sure. I've noticed that it's one of the amazing things about trading is it's a constant journey and constant learning, and it's very competitive, obviously. So you got to sort of keep improving it. You never can sort of afford to stand still, which is what keeps a lot of you with high intellects, I guess, constantly engaged and interested in this profession. So thanks for that. I got one more here. Some of you guys, again, are just brand new to our product, and I'd like to know, kind of without any sort of influence, any further influence from this webinar, just from the materials you've seen and just from the webinar that you maybe attended from NinjaTrader, if you happen to do that, what your first impression of BloodHound is. Because what we're trying to do is trying to figure out, is the message we're getting across accurate? Is it correct? As one of the challenges that we're facing with this product is it doesn't actually have. You can check as many, by the way, as you want to answer. Don't have to just choose one. But one of the many challenges that we're facing, and then after kind of this webinar, I want to ask another question just to get some feedback from you guys, is that this type of product actually doesn't have a name in the industry, like a common name. It's sort of almost like a novelty. So we can't just call it a lawnmower, and everybody knows what a lawnmower is. It doesn't have a common industry known name for it. So we have to literally coin one up and figure out what's the within 2 or 3 words, communicate to someone what this tool actually is and what it can do. Okay, so I'm just kind of curious. Those of you that did mark off the first one, I had no idea what BloodHound first was, which seems to be actually the majority. How many of those of you have now maybe used BloodHound a little bit, or just have been researching the materials and now actually understand what BloodHound is, of those people that maybe marked the that first part there? And you can just type that into the chat or the questions. Just let me know. I just want to know, are you still confused of what BloodHound actually is, or do you have a fairly good idea of what BloodHound is now at this point? Okay, so again, just feel free to provide us a little bit of feedback here through the either the question and answers or the chat. Okay, so yeah, again, and thank you very much for providing this feedback. Like we're trying to figure out again what our marketing, like our message is. So maybe afterwards, I might invite a few of you guys to just I'll open up the floor and we sort of discuss where the confusion lied with what we have communicated on the website, and why weren't you able to pick up what Bloodhound is. But before we begin. I'm going to hand it over to Zach, and he's got actually. So I'm glad, David, you could join us. David actually sent us an email earlier this morning, asking, hey, I've got this simple system, and I want to know if you can do this. So, David, if you don't mind, just let us know. If you want to keep your system confidential, that's fine. We could certainly change, I guess, some of the parameters around and change some of the emails. And so that your system, isn't sort of broadcasted to the entire internet. It's up to you. Or if you don't mind us showing your exact system, we can implement it kind of as is, as you described it in your email. So just let me know, David, if what's okay with you. Please use it. Okay, cool, fantastic. Okay, so yeah, Zach, why don't you take it over and give it a shot there. Just remember to. I got to close this poll here.
All right, I'm taking over here. All right, just give me a moment while the projector kicks over to my end. And all right, I believe you guys should be able to see my chart now. Well, actually, let me minimize this guy. All right, so we're going to start with a nice simple setup here that David had asked us via email, as Jeremy alluded to. So the components here are the stochastics. This is a 10 EMA and a 20 EMA, and let's see, the requirements are when the stochastics here crosses down the 70, so this upper line is the 70, this lower line is the 30. So when it crosses down, price needs to be below both of the EMAs. And David, if I'm not quite understanding, feel free to pipe in and correct this. So. And then when the stochastic crosses above the 30, when price is above both EMAs, that's your signal to go long. So, all right. So I'm going to start from the very beginning. And for those of you who are in NinjaTrade's workshop, we kind of took a lot of shortcuts because of time constraints. But this is our training workshop. So we're going to start from the beginning, and we'll build this system for you slowly and take the time to answer you guys' questions. So first thing I need to do is, we can see up here these two buttons, and we have a button and a pull down. So this button will bring up Bloodhound in what we call real-time mode. But first we need to put a template name on there, and so we need to bring up what we call setup mode, which essentially is just the NinjaTrader's indicator window. And select Bloodhound, and we can see up here that our template is unnamed. So I'm going to click on the button here, and that will bring up the template selection, or the setup mode. And I can see here, if I click on File, I have a whole list of all of my Bloodhound templates. These Bloodhound templates are essentially like a chart template, where you can quickly load a system in, just like with a chart template. You can right-click and just load a chart template that'll load up all your indicators. So this chart template is for Bloodhound, and so I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to hit the Change button, and it brings up the Save As window, and I will call it SI, and then I'll just call it David G, and it's a stochastics and EMA system.
Hey Zach, sorry to interrupt there. Just getting some comments in the room saying your sound is a little too low.
Oh, my sound is too low. Okay, let me turn up the gain on my mic. Hopefully that helps. And
That's much better.
I'll try and talk a little louder for you guys. All right, so we're in setup mode, and one of the differentiating components of setup mode is this chart button. And if you hit that, that's what allows you to add a secondary time frame. I advise that you add a higher time frame here. When you're working with lower time frames, NinjaTrader has a harder time looking at lower time frames. So it's always best to have your BloodHound indicator running on the lowest time frame that you may be working with. So, and yeah, I'm gonna just for demonstration purposes, once I go through David's system, I'm gonna also add a permissive on the 1 minute chart, because I also have the 1 minute chart on here. So, all right. So, essentially, in setup mode, I just like to add my other time frames, and I primarily like to work in real-time mode. That way, because in setup mode, the chart doesn't update in real time, because the reason why is because we have this indicator window open. And if you guys are experienced with NinjaTrader, you know that with the indicator window open, essentially NinjaTrader is kind of locked up. So I'm going to click OK, and then click OK. And now we'll see that the name of our template shows up in this button here. And so clicking on the button will bring us into real-time mode. All right, so let's see. The first indicator I'm going to analyze is the stochastics. So essentially, we are looking for a crossing situation. We want to know when the stochastic crosses below the 70 and crosses above the 30. So that is a crossover situation. So I'll use the crossover solver. And I see there's questions coming in, so Jeremy will keep an eye on your questions and he'll interrupt me. Right. And I always like to name these solvers just to keep track of what they are. And so indicator A is going to be it's going to be the stochastics. And I'll need to match the periods up. And I'm not sure if David's system uses, requires both indicators, but I'm just going to, or both plots, I should say, but I'm just going to use the D. That's primarily what most people use. And now for indicator B, it's actually not going to be an indicator. It's going to be an absolute value. So on this one, I'm going to do the longs first. Look for when it's crossing above the 30. So we can see that we're already getting output values from BloodHound. So when it's crossing below the 30, we're getting a short, and when it's crossing above, we're getting a long. And so what I need to do is constrain the output here, or the behavior, and I'm only going to evaluate the longs only. And there we go. Now I have longs only. So this indicator essentially is showing the long side. And what I'm going to do is copy this one, and I'll set this one to do the shorts. So I'll set this to the shorts, and I need to set my value here to 70. Alright, now so if I turn the longs off by removing the check mark, now we can see we're getting shorts when the indicator crosses below the 70. Alright, so let me move on to the next component, which is price needs to be above or below both EMAs, depending on which direction we're trading in. So that would be a comparison. So we're comparing price to the EMA. So I'm going to use the comparison solver, and I'm going to need one solver for each EMA. So this one will be the EMA 10, and so for indicator A, I'm going to use price. I'm going to be looking at the closing price, and for indicator B, that will literally be the indicator. So let me switch that over to the EMA. Set the period to 10, and as we know, the EMA only has one plot out. So now we can see that by default the outputs of BloodHound are set so that when price is above the EMA, you can see we're getting a long output. And this long output is matching the value that we have set here in the output parameters. And then for the shorts, when the closing price is below the white line is the 10 EMA. So when the closing price is below it, we can see that we're getting shorts here. So next I will copy this down and change it to the 20. Let me change the name first, and then I just need to change the indicator period. Set that to 20. And alright, now let me turn off the 10 EMA. So now only the 20 EMA is what BloodHound is evaluating. So now we can see right here the closing price closed just below the red line, which is the 20 EMA, and we're good for shorts. And then when price crosses above, we're good for longs. Okay, so now the next step is, since we are using two different solvers for this crossover situation, we're going to have to use some logic nodes to get our signals to show up properly. So here on the logic tab, we're going to create a new logic template, and typically, I'll just name this entry. And you can create essentially as many templates in here, as many logic templates as you kind of need. So you could also set up yourself, you could create another new one, and create yourself some exits, You know, so if your system says, you know, I need to get out when such and such condition occurs, you can create a template for exits. And then you can put BloodHound on your chart twice, one for the entries and one for the exits. Or put BloodHound on two different charts, you know, whatever you prefer. Or what you could do is over here on the chart, you can, so say like if you're flat in the market, you can set yourself on an entry, so you're scanning for entries with BloodHound. And then as soon as you get into the market, you can change your template over to, oh, I guess I didn't rename it properly, over to exits. So let me rename this. And, oh, there we go. So now named it exits. So we have entries and exits. And you can quickly switch back and forth for, you know, whatever, you know, whether you're in the market or not, whatever you need to happen here. All right, so let's go back to the entries, and I will start adding the solvers on here. There's two ways you can add the solvers. You have this pull-down menu here, or you can right-click on the chart and add solvers that way. So essentially, I'm going to create the long entry signals on top and the shorts on the bottom. Now these EMAs, these conditions are used in both the longs and the short. And now, in order to get a long signal, you need all three of the conditions of all three of these indicators to occur at the same time. So that would be an AND condition. And what I can do, now you can start seeing BloodHound, start putting the signals on the chart. And let me add this last one. We'll add another AND node for the shorts. Now you can see right now, if I plug this one into the result node, it removes the other leader. So you can only have one leader into the result node. And so now we can analyze the shorts. And so to combine both signals, we'll have to use an OR logic. So we can get either longs or shorts into the result node. And now we have both of the signals firing. So let's just kind of look through this. Let me start from the beginning. So, yep, there we go. We have stochastic crossing up above the 30, and price got above both EMAs. So it's a pretty good, that's a really good kind of starter system there. And so I'm going to kind of expand upon this, unless, Jeremy, if you see any questions I should answer. I was going to
I got one.
expand upon this a little bit more, just to kind of keep showing you.
Got one really minor thing you could show there. Javier asks if you could feed the CCI output into a Keltner channel and select the midline of the Keltner channel. So if you could just open up the indicator selection dialog, BloodHound, and just show them how to nest the indicator.
Oh, nesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me just speak to this real quick here. So with BloodHound, you start with kind of what exactly about this indicator do you want to analyze, and then choose the appropriate solver for it. So in this case, Zach has selected indicator slope, so he's intending to analyze the slope of this monstrosity, if you will.
All right. What would you like fed into what?
So feed the
Like the CCI
CCI.
fed into the Keltner?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you just simply start by selecting the CCI, and then, sorry, go ahead. Actually, Zach, I'll let you take over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we have the Keltner channel down here, and you can see we have 2 buttons. So next, all I did was click on the CCI to select it, and then we can hit nested, and it nests it right into there. So now we can see right here the Keltner channel. Instead of the price being fed into the Keltner channel, it's the CCI being fed in, and that's how you would do that. And then you want to analyze the midline, and the midline is up on top of the plots, and it's already selected. And you can just click OK. And I'll just add the solver on here, and we'll take a look. Unfortunately, I don't have the indicator on the chart for comparison, but there you go. So.
Yeah, so let me just interject real quick. So BloodHound actually works no problem without any of the indicators on your chart. You can leave them off. You know, we've got them up here for illustration purposes, so you can see kind of what BloodHound is actually computing. But you know, presumably when you've got your system all defined, and if you want a clean chart, you can just simply take all the other indicators off and just leave BloodHound on as your sole indicator, if you like to trade that way. And BloodHound will work just fine without the other indicators on. And that includes other time frames as well. You don't actually even have to have the other time frames open. Han Robinson actually asks or mentions that, hey, look, those signals that you had in the other with David's system there looked like the longs were good, but not the shorts. So maybe we could try experimenting here and throw in a trade filter to exclude the shorts in that situation. And perhaps I'm thinking that maybe a good idea to start would be to look at the higher time frames, which is typically what a lot of traders do.
Yeah, so I have the 1 minute on here. I can switch this to a 5 minute. And then I'll switch BloodHound over. So I'm going to have to go into setup mode to change the time frame, because right now it's set to 1 minute in BloodHound. So once again, I brought up the indicator window, and I'm going to go into the template. And so this brings up setup mode, and we can tell because we have the chart button here. And so I can click on the chart indication here and set this to 5 for 5 minutes. And then what I'm going to do is I'll use a simple filter, which is comparing price, to some kind of moving average. So I'm going to add compare price to this 55 EMA. And so when price is above the 55 EMA, that will filter out only long trades. So we'll only get long trades when price is above. And so this is going to be a comparison. So we're comparing price to the indicator. And add that to the chart. And if for some reason, if you have the wrong time frame selected when you add the solver, there's a button here where I can click on this and it'll move it up to the default time frame, or I can move it down to the 5 minute time frame. So let me rename this. It's EMA 55, and it is a permissive. And so, in setup mode, you can do whatever kind of work you need, but but the chart is not going to update here. So let me just gonna get out of setup mode and go back into real-time mode. All right, go back to the Logic tab. And so now you can see here on the solver nodes, we have the two time frames that we're using. So let me add the solver on here, and I'm just going to put it into the result node. And oh, did I set something wrong? Oh, yes. That's right. I didn't finish setting up my parameters correctly. So we're going to be comparing the closing price to the EMA 55. All right, so indicator B, I'm going to switch this over to the EMA 55. And as soon as I do this, you'll see that the output down here is going to change. All right, so let's just kind of look at this solver here. And I have my crosshair set to global mode. And hopefully, if price keeps coming down below, we'll be able to see the output changing in real time. But until that does it, let me just kind of scan through the chart. And here we go. So now we can see price is below the 55 EMA. Now one thing you're going to notice is it doesn't look like a perfect alignment, and that's because we've managed to, Jeremy could probably explain this better, but he's managed to implement some special conditioning for BloodHound for the SMA and the EMA to give a more exact comparison for those moving averages on a higher time frame.
Yeah, let me just interject. Additional time frames for any strategy or indicator in NinjaTrader, there's an inherent limitation with the historical data, being that it's only an approximation. The technical aspect of it is fairly involved, but essentially what I'm saying is the historical data is always going to be off by just a little bit when you're comparing 233 or tick charts versus minute charts, and it has to do with the fact that the bars don't close at the exact same time, and NinjaTrader gives an approximation of basically based off the previous bar closes. So you're always going to have a tiny bit of discrepancy in the historical data, but going forward, when you're doing live data and you're doing live trading data, it's the information you receive will be always accurate, just not the historical data.
So yeah, here we go. So price did come down, and it closed below that 55 EMA, and we can see that BloodHound turned red for shorts only. All right, so let me plug that permissive into the system. And since this is a requirement of the system, it's going to require a AND node. So it's going to be these trade signals. So let me name this here so I can call this long and short signals. and then I can call this the 5-minute 5-minute filter. And so I'll plug this in the result node, plug the OR into our filter, and we can see we have our regular signals unfiltered. And then as soon as I plug this solver in, now you can see it took out the shorts. So you see there was a couple of shorts down here. Let me delete this leader. So there's a short, there's a short, and there's a short. As we can see on the chart, price is above our EMA, so we want longs only. So I can add this back into the logic node, and you can see it took out all of our shorts. So let's see how we're doing. Well, here's real time. Okay. So now, if you look over in the 5-minute chart, we can see that we're only going to be able to get shorts now. And one thing that I kind of showed in the NinjaTrader demo is this is kind of a debugging tool, but if you do want to see more information of what's going on, like if you want to see what's going on with the 5-minute chart without having to have the 5-minute chart up, what I can do is I can select this solver from here, and you've probably noticed that when I click on a solver, you can see all the settings show up on the Logic tab. So these settings are the same thing that you see if you click on the solver tab. Right, so the same settings. So, you know, one of the main purposes of BloodHound is speed. You know, being able to tweak your system on the fly if you need to, or if you're just trying to you know, come up with a system or fine-tune your system. You know, the essence of BloodHound is speed, and also, you know, clarity of your signals as well. So allowing you to modify your solver on the Logic tab is just one of those conveniences. And so, all right, so what I was trying to show you is I can show this solver as another type of plot down here in the BloodHound area by changing the color. So I'll change this to red. Let me change it to something brighter. I'll just put it on white. So there we go. So we can see it on the longs up here. The plot is up here at 1. So that's telling us that price is above the 5-minute EMA, because that solver is outputting a value of 1. And so just to further demonstrate, if I plug this solver right into the result node, you can see how the long plots, the white line is corresponding with the green plots, and as soon as it as we get shorts, a short condition, the white line for the shorts moves down to 1. So that's what that is showing us. And right, so I can see here that with this plot being up in the long area, I can see that we're only allowed to take longs. And then over here, now I can see that we're only allowed to take shorts. And you know, this can both be a debugging tool or just to feed you more information if that's what if that's what you want. And so if I scroll back in time, here we go, I can see, you know, the plot from our permissive over here changing directions. Alright, so I think that kind of covers it for this system. So let me see if there's some other questions we can answer for you guys. If not, then I'll move on to some more training. kind of what we had in store was breaking down Noel's system for you guys. And go through each solver one at a time. So,
And actually, Zach, do you mind if I just interject with another
other
question?
questions I can answer?
Yeah. Not at the moment, but I was going, actually a couple more were coming in, but I just wanted to ask you guys, again, alluding to earlier, now that you've sort of seen just a few minutes kind of a Bloodhound and what it kind of is, I'm assuming, okay, actually let's just sort of, those of you that know what this tool is, we're having trouble naming it and trouble calling it something. Like I was saying earlier, like everybody knows what a lawnmower is. Everybody knows what when you say lawnmower, that what that product is. Our tool doesn't actually have a sort of an industry accepted name because it's sort of kind of a unique tool. So I've got a couple names that we've sort of thought maybe we could call this, and in fact on our website we call this a visual programming tool. But I thought maybe I'd ask you guys, what terminology would you best understand immediately if you saw it to describe, let's say, Bloodhound within 2 to 3 words. And certainly if you're still confused, we're going to try to clear up that confusion, and just let me know in the chat window. We'll type it in, and if you have a better suggestion, click none of the above, and I'd love to hear, maybe some suggestions. And just type them into the chat window or the answer the question window, and so we can take a look at what they really mean. Because we're trying to establish the best possible name for this tool so that you guys can grasp immediately what it is. So yeah, Kai Sulai, yeah, signal generator. I definitely thought about using signal generator. However, it's one of those things that you have to create the signals or describe it yourself. So it's that's definitely a good suggestion though. So maybe that's something we'll take a look at. But if you guys don't have an idea of what this is, or maybe have a better understanding, a better name for it, let me know. So if you don't have an idea of what Bloodhound is still, please type it in. Just say in the questions window there, and we'll try to answer your question. But actually, looks like most of you guys think visual programming tool might be the way to go. And trading entry generator, that looks like a second in line there. It looks like we've got some questions, so let me just take a look here. I asked a question about creating synthetic bar charts from combining more than one symbol. Can I do it? Bloodhound doesn't actually create, custom bar charts. But what you can do, you can certainly take indicators and whatnot from other symbols, no problem. Because if you recall when Zach was showing the, let me just close this poll out here. When Zach was showing, actually Zach, go ahead and, yeah, when Zach was showing the setup mode there, and you can add a chart, there's a little section there where you add the chart, and then you could specify what instrument to put there as well. So you can pull data in from other instruments, not just charts, but other time frames and or instruments. So you can certainly do that. Maybe Han, if you had kind of a more specific example, we could try doing something there. Steve asks, now that you have a system like that, is there any way to export the C# code? So essentially, Steve, it doesn't generate code. It maintains itself, like its entry and signals are all maintained within the template information that you save. So if you need to use Bloodhound in a strategy, for example, or if you want to incorporate it into another indicator, we have examples on our website on how to do that. And the beauty of sort of keeping it that way is you always maintain a nimble and sort of flexible approach. So say, for example, you had a strategy and you had your management, your trade management code all written out already with the stops just the way you like it. You can you can essentially plug in BloodHound to it. That's probably the easiest way to describe it. You plug in BloodHound to your strategy and take the signals, positive or the long and short signals from it, and you can change your actual entries on the fly, just like this. So you could actually create new systems and try different things and load up new templates, and you don't have to recompile anything, and your existing trade management code would just execute after this. So essentially, what I'm trying to say, it affords you all the flexibility that you would otherwise have, if you were to say export this system. Say for example, the only exception, I guess, suppose if you were trying to sell a system, you wouldn't be able to export this code and sell it to others, I suppose. But you could sell the template. I suppose it's nothing against the rules there. You could sell. If you had a great trading system and you wanted to sell it to somebody, or start selling it, you could certainly do that. But your customers would have to have BloodHound as well to run it. Steve asks again. Okay, so then he elaborates, or something with flowchart programming, but it is more visual than coding for sure. Okay, yeah. So precisely, it is basically like flowchart programming, and it actually has fuzzy logic capabilities in there too. So more than just the and or nodes that we show in here, but there's actually some pretty fantastic stuff in there that we've like the ratio node, and earlier when Zach was fooling around with Null's system, he was actually using a point-based type system using the additive node. We can sort of go into that, and maybe in a future webinar, as I'd consider that more of an advanced topic. Visual Trade Designer, that's not a bad name there, Bercy. Thanks for that suggestion. User Indicator Compiler, thanks Javier for that as well. Andrew asks, does this work on the range bar chart? So yeah, we've had a couple questions about what kind of charts does this indicator work, or does BloodHound work on, and it works with any chart type that's supported by NinjaTrader. By default, it will just work out with it, so you can add BloodHound to those charts, no problem. You can also add additional time frames with any of the NinjaTrader chart types, so that includes line breaks, range bars, everything. In fact, we have some even special things in there, special features if you happen to be a range bar type program or trader, because those, as you know, the range bar types don't change in size, so we take advantage of some of that within BloodHound. But the only exception I can think of is if you have a custom bar type, like maybe you download them from Big Mike's, or maybe you're savvy enough to program your own custom bar type. You can still add BloodHound to that. The only exception, and right now that's unfortunately just a limitation with NinjaTrader, is you can't add additional time frames that are custom bar types. So again, that only applies if you have a custom bar type that's not shipped or packaged with NinjaTrader. Okay. All right. Hans got the specific example. How would I multiply the highs of 3 symbols and the output for a swing high? Okay, Han, the swing high stuff, we have a swing indicator for that. I'll see. I'll let Zach handle that one along with Bercy. He's got another one here with an example. Another question, please. I'm trying to spot long top tails of red candles, i.e. high is greater than open times 1.25%. Close less than open. Okay, so looks like there's some math in there, Bercy. The math, multiplication and applying mathematical formulas within BloodHound is something that we're adding in the future. For now, a way around this is you can actually, if you happen to be a scripter, you can actually code that really quick equation there, the high being greater than the open times 1.25%. Very simply, just maybe one line of code, make a trivial indicator, and you can plug that into BloodHound. So that's definitely possible to do it that way. At the moment, though, like the multiplication and sort of arbitrary math is just another solver or logic node that we have on the list of features that we want to add in the future. So it's not there right now. Hand suggests Intuitrade as a name. Steve, what about drawing objects like dots or arrows instead of coloring the background? Is that possible? You can change the plot. It's actually a NinjaTrader feature, but you can change the plot of the plot appearance for BloodHound just by changing. If you go into the plots, and you can change them to different shapes and sizes, but it won't, like, say, draw them. I guess what you're probably talking about is having like an arrow, drawing them on the chart, like a up arrow, a down arrow. That's something it doesn't do at the moment, just because it uses the NinjaTrader plot facility to do that. It doesn't sort of draw just custom shapes on the chart. If that's something that's extremely important to you, then certainly you could just include BloodHound within a separate indicator and wrap it kind of around it, and draw stuff on the chart as you see signals come in. But one thing it does have is audible alerts. So audible alerts are totally fine. If a signal fires, you can have the BloodHound kind of blare an audible alert for you. So that's one way to go about that. Steve asks, for instance, couldn't combine two different Renko hybrid data series. So Renko hybrid, I'm assuming that's a custom bar type. You could certainly put BloodHound on a Renko hybrid data series, but where we run into trouble, and again, this is just a limitation of NinjaTrader. It's something that no strategy that anyone could write could ever do this. But as soon as they do support it, we will support it, guaranteed. Is the idea of including another time frame that is of that custom bar type, so another Renko hybrid data series. So no, it just is, again, it's just a limitation that we're working with, and as soon as NinjaTrader opens up the gates, I suppose, and lets us do that, we will support that. Han. So that would be similar to a custom bar type. I see. Okay. Yeah. So I understand what you're trying to get. You'd like to basically create a custom bar type based off of information from other time frames. Just to clarify, BloodHound, it doesn't technically create new chart types. It's essentially a signal indicator. So you can incorporate information from other time frames, and you can do things like analyze swings and whatnot. Perhaps in the interest of keeping this more of a basic seminar, though, maybe Han, we could get together and I could show you, or Zach could show you how to analyze swings, or maybe next week we could have a more advanced webinar showing those features like that. So we can also give us an opportunity to talk offline and see more thoroughly what you're asking for as well. Zed Oren asks, can it be used with a TC2000? I'm afraid I'm not familiar with that. I'm assuming that's probably an indicator. If it's, as long as it's installed in your system and you're licensed for it, it will show up in that indicator selection dialog in BloodHound, so you should be able to use it. Bercy B, the high of the candle. Okay, so Zach, do you want to just show Bercy the SI high-low bound? So this is something we've added in kind of the interim. As you've noticed, is that drop down. We have closing price, but we do not have the high and low there. But what we have instead now is a indicator called SI high-low bounds, and what it does essentially is it just takes the highs and lows from your charts, or any chart or time frame for that matter, and uses that, and you can plug that into your solver, or therefore nest it. So Zach, I don't know if you can just really quickly show what that indicator is. So this comes packaged with BloodHound.
Yeah, so let me add this on here. So the indicator I have on here right now is the SI swings high low, and what that does is it tracks the swing points from the swing indicator. So right now I have it set to just track the previous swing point, so you can see for the lows it jumps up as soon as the next higher swing point is detected from this point and this point. And the same with the highs. So this high point was detected on this bar, and it comes all the way across until the next high was detected on this bar, and drops down again, and so on and so forth. And all right, so let me add the this high-low indicator. So in order to compare, the high and low of the bar, we have an indicator that will feed that data into BloodHound, and it's called the SI high-low bounds. And it actually provides more than just the high and low. It also provides the median, the midpoint of the bar, the typical of the bar, and the weighted. If you would like to see how these four are calculated, you can pull up NinjaTrader's help documentation and just do a search for those, and in their help documentation it shows what the calculations are for these kind of median type prices. So right, by default we have the highs plotting and the lows plotting. So I'm going to make these guys real fat so you can see them. So they're almost too fat. Kind of overshadows everything.
And so just to let you know, guys, we are actually looking at improving this SI high-low bounds as well. And at the moment, you can actually take high-low bounds in from other time frames as well. See, it's like if you look under parameters, the second line there, it says use alternate time frame. If you set that to true, you can actually bring in the high-low data from another time frame or another chart, just as you would, with almost like within BloodHound. Now, just let me mention that SI high-low bounds is just something we introduced with 1.04, which is what we just released last week, or sorry, a couple days ago, and we are actually going to be extending this little guy with a little more capabilities. As you can see, the closing value is not there. We figured that maybe we wouldn't need it, but we figured wrong, so we actually are going to put the closing value in there as well. It basically allows you to import, if you will, all the chart standard chart data, the high, low, median, close from other time frames as well. So you can, of course, just use this indicator nested in within other indicators in BloodHound, and essentially our next step after this is to be able to skip this particular step in altogether and just let you select high-low straight from the BloodHound interface. But that's currently under development.
All right, this is getting kind of busy. Let me widen the chart out here. So you can see the green plot line is tracking the highs and the red line is tracking the lows. And so those values can be fed into BloodHound for tracking that. So, but let me get back to a previous question with looking at the swing highs and lows. So right now, this is this is a kind of a breakout situation. So we can see right here that we have this low point that was detected back here, and as soon as price broke below it, BloodHound is providing a short signal for that. And as soon as price breaks above this swing, it's providing a long signal for that condition. So, let's take a look, see if there's any other questions. If not, I'll I'll move on to Noel's system and just kind of go through each of the solvers just to continue on with the training session here. I
just want to add one quick thing. By the way, Zach, you might want to just get in touch with Bercy afterwards. He wants to talk about the divergence indicator you've got posted on Big Mike's. Javier was asking, hey, I'm interested, but just concerned about the learning curve. We do pretty much everything we possibly can to help you attain the system, learn the system. Because naturally, I think a lot of you that are still in here can attest to seeing that, once you get to a certain level of proficiency, it kind of opens up a lot of avenues and a lot of possibilities for you in terms of speed and agility. But getting kind of over that learning curve, if it seems daunting to you, don't worry. We're going to be here to help you learn it and create your own systems. We can do one-on-one sessions with you. The support is basically unlimited. So before and after you purchase, and if you haven't seen the kind of beginning tutorial videos as well, I definitely recommend that. In fact, I would say they're even more kind of basic than say what Zach is going through here. Maybe perhaps we tend to skip steps a little bit when we've got some people in the room that want to see specific things. But the tutorials that we have on our website are super basic in terms they just show you like maybe one feature and show you kind of what it does. And certainly if you haven't seen the quick start guide already, I'd recommend just kind of watching that as an overview. It'll give you an idea of kind of like what the components are in BloodHound and what each piece does, and that'll give you kind of a better context when you watch the rest of the tutorials. And maybe in a few weeks or maybe in a month's time, I'll be sending out a little survey, asking you guys, how can we improve our tutorials to make it easier for you to uptake the information that we've presented. So we're always trying to reinvent ourselves and trying to figure out ways to make it make this product easier for you to understand.
All right, I'm loading up a chart right here with Noel's system on it to that way if we have some other examples I can switch back to this chart and work on this. So all right, just waiting for my chart to load up. So let's see, let's look at some other questions while waiting on this chart to load. Yeah, I guess just to reiterate, as far as the support goes, I have a Skype account so that whenever I'm available for you guys just to hit me up on the fly, without making an appointment. I have this Skype account for Shark Indicators. So the account name is Zach White, S-I. And so if you'd like to add yourself or add me to your Skype account, and if you see me online, right now I have myself as away for this webinar, but if you see me online, that means I'm available for a training session or any kind of question you've got on the fly, and we'll fire up our GoToMeeting account and answer whatever questions you guys have or do some training. And I also have on the website, we also have a sign up where you can set an appointment time with me. So let me bring up the website and show that to you. Let's see. So this is on, if we go to BloodHound, Learn BloodHound, and it is, oh wait, no, sorry, it's over in the support and in the contact us section. So in the contact us, there's one-on-one help, and you can click on that button, and that will take you to an appointment scheduling website where you can schedule an appointment with me. So And so if you have some private questions, you can use our support inquiry. Hopefully, if you have just a general question, we would appreciate it if you guys would just use the help forum. That way other people can learn from your questions as well. So we have a help forum here, and inside of BloodHound suggestions, I'm sorry, whoops, BloodHound support. Let me back it up. Inside these support questions, there's a lot of questions that people have asked in here, and probably some of your questions have been answered in here, such as that system, the first system I demoed with the stochastics and the moving average system. That was kind of like one of the first systems I built in the support forum. And if you go to nearly the last page, you'll see there's a tutorial showing how to put that together. Actually, I think it's on the third page. Well, I don't see it right away. But several people have kind of asked about that stochastics crossing situation. So it seems to be a pretty common signal. And so if you look at the support or the forum questions here, pretty much anything with a paperclip is most likely going to have a tutorial in it. Yeah, here we go. So how do you do a double crossover? I think that's the one. There we go. Yeah, so I wrote a tutorial with screenshots showing how to build the stochastic crossing system that I just demonstrated for you first. So you can see the signals here, stochastic crossing down below the 80 and above the 20. So there's already some good tutorials up here. So, all right, let me get back to NinjaTrader. All right, I'm going to take off this indicator. I might have too much. Oh, yeah. I put this on a 90 tick, so there's a lot of bars on this chart. And I put it on the 90 tick because we demoed a higher tick frame because NinjaTrader runs a little faster. There's less bars on the chart. But Noel actually used this system on a very fast time frame, very fast. Usually something like a 90, maybe even an 80 and 70 sometimes tick chart. So actually, let me kind of bump this up. That way NinjaTrader will run a little faster for us. All right. And Noel was, as is permissive, he was using the 1 minute chart. And the 1 minute chart worked good for his system because, like I said, normally he was trading on like a 70 or 80 or 90 tick chart, which is moving a lot faster than the 1 minute chart. All right. So what I'm going to do is start going through each of these solvers one at a time. So let me load up Noel's system. So once again, what I'm doing is you can see I'm in the indicator window, and so I'm going into what we call setup mode, and I'm going to add the template, a template that I already built. There we go. That's the one I built during NinjaTrader's webinar this morning. All right, let me bring up real-time mode, and now I can start analyzing the various components.
And let me just sort of interject here with a quick answer for Kumar, who asks, does this design auto trader does basically BloodHound auto trade, I think is what he's asking. As I kind of iterated in the webinar prior to this, BloodHound is the entry engine, or the entry logic engine, if you will. That's sort of that piece of the puzzle for a full-blown automated trading system. So it'll give you can map out your entries using it, but it doesn't manage the trade. So it's not a trade manager. So there's two solutions to this. You either plug BloodHound into a strategy, in which we have a couple examples on our website on how to do this, and your strategy code would have to manage the trade using basically your code to do that. Or you wait till we release Falcon, which is our next product, which is going to be like the second half of this of this equation in terms of getting people to create fully blown automated trading systems without having to code. And the Falcon is the trade management part of I guess the auto trader, and the two together work closely together. And so with BloodHound kind of calling your entries, and you can actually use BloodHound to call exits too. It's very possible to do that. But with, so I guess a typical scenario would be using BloodHound to call your entries, and then use Falcon to manage the trade going forward in terms of placing your stops and performing certain actions to exit the trade once your trade is on. So I hope that answers your question there, Kumar.
Yeah, just to elaborate a little bit, what NinjaTrader did is they broke a trading system into two components. So you have the indicator component and the strategies component. Obviously everybody knows what the indicator component is. That's what you see on your chart. And the strategy component is what actually manages your trade. So that's what puts in your entry orders, whether it be a limit order or a market order. And that's also what manages your stops, moves your stops around, and manages your profit targets. So BloodHound is the indicator component, and Falcon will be the strategy component. So this is a very common strategy. If any of you have written code in TradeStation, they do the same thing. Your indicators are kind of defined separately from your strategy logic. And so the indicators are fed into the strategy component. Okay, so...
Sorry, Kumar just kind of elaborates. He just wanted to ask, so what about this, like, does BloodHound actually generate code? Specifically, it doesn't generate code, but what you would have to do to plug it into a strategy, we have some strategy examples on our website, is you would just incorporate BloodHound as kind of an indicator object in your strategy, and then from there you have the full power of BloodHound in terms of all its logic engine, everything. So there's no kind of static compile output, I guess, if that's what you're asking. You don't just hit a button and it pops out some code from you, that gives you the entries. It doesn't do that. It's not a generator. It doesn't generate code. So essentially, what you use it to do is you have to include it in your strategy, and then from there, your strategy now becomes, I guess, BloodHound capable. Meaning that you could load different template files in to describe different systems that you may have. Maybe a friend of yours has a different system, sends you a template file. You just simply load it into your, load up the template, this time with the strategy, just like you would here, and you can start trading it without having to compile code or export code or anything to that matter.
All right, yeah, to answer Hans' question, yeah, we use schedule once for my scheduling here, so I don't think we overloaded their system, but I'll take a look at it when this is over. I've never had any issues with them yet, but we just started using them. So just one thing to keep in mind, the one nice thing about schedule once is I have it set up to require people to select two alternate meeting dates. In case I can't meet your first time, then I'll approve your second time. So it's kind of like, so when you select two times to meet, it's kind of like, selecting an option A to meet at this time, or an option B, a plan B to meet at this time. So Hans, maybe that's what's going on, is you haven't selected a second alternate time to meet. All right, so let me kind of move on here. So the first indicator on Noel's system is looking, it's the change in slope, and it is looking at the stochastics. And on the chart I have this colored stochastics to kind of help illustrate what the solver is analyzing. And so the solver was also kind of based on this indicator. So when the indicator turns a dark blue, you can see that it's dark blue when it first reverses direction. And as the slope steadily moves up and is increasing in slope, in other words, when the stochastic is getting steeper and steeper, it stays the dark blue. But as soon as the slope starts to lessen, then it turns to a lighter blue. And then when it gets steeper again, it turned back to a darker blue. And then it turned to a lighter blue as the slope lessened. And then when the slope became less for the second time, it turns to white, giving you a warning. And then when it reverses, and we illustrate over here, so then when it reverses down, it's the darker red, and it stays darker red until the slope lessens, and it turns to a pink. And as the slope begins to turn up even more, for the second time it turns white. And then it turned darker red again because the slope started pointing down. And so the change in slope indicator is kind of following the same logic. So if I plug BloodHound into the result node, and let me minimize this, so we can see that when we get the darker blue, when the stochastic first changes direction, BloodHound is giving us a 1 output. Well, actually, that's right. I need to adjust this to 1, the slider. There we go. So you can see on all the dark blue situations, right when the stochastic changed direction, we're getting a full output on the long side, and the same for the short side. Then we can see that the stochastic, the slope started to turn up a little bit, and then when it turned back down again, we can see that the strength of the stochastic got stronger going down, and BloodHound once again gave us a full 1 output, providing the shading background. So, and all of these, the value of BloodHound's output is always controlled by the output section. You'll see that all the solvers have this output section. So essentially, when the stochastic is strong in its direction, we have a value of 1 that BloodHound is outputting. And then as the direction begins to weaken, let me stretch this out here a little bit. So as the direction begins to weaken, we're getting a 0.67 on the output. And so you can see BloodHound's output steps down. So when the indicator turns this lighter blue, because the direction is starting to turn down, the value of BloodHound matches this value here, 0.67. So to show all three of these, so when the stochastic is pointing down, we're getting a full 1 output because it's strong in its direction, and then as the direction begins to weaken, the output matches this value, and then when it weakens again, when the indicator is turning white, we have 0.334 as our output. And we can see in the opposite direction, we have values set here. So for the opposite direction, we can see as the direction begins to weaken on the short side, it begins to strengthen on the long side. And once again, as the stochastic begins to weaken on the short side, it begins to get stronger on the long side. So essentially, that's how the change in direction solver works.
And that's the change in slope. The change in slope, by the way, folks, is it's something that we implemented because it was we again when we designed the system, we followed a lot of expert traders, and one of the fellows that we were following really liked to use like the change in slope of a moving average or stochastics as an early warning system, kind of to detect whether or not the strength of a certain direction was weakening, or was it strengthening. And these are things that are very difficult to pick up with the human eye. So Zach's got this colorful, the stochastics indicator up there that's color coded, but if it wasn't color coded, it would be very difficult to tell whether or not those, the slope is actually increasing or decreasing, favorable in your direction or not. So BloodHound is capable of analyzing change in slope as well.
All right. So the next solver that we have down, these next two over here, are analyzing the momentum. And essentially, this is the MACD histogram, and its output has just been modified slightly for this system here. And so what I have is, let me zoom out a little bit. So I just took the solver and I plugged it straight into the result node. So now we can see on BloodHound, whenever the indicator is moving up, we can see we're getting a long output. And as soon as the indicator drops down, moves down on one bar, it's giving us a short output. So this solver is showing you what direction the indicator is moving. Now, this solver is actually the comparison solver, but the slope solver would do the same thing. So the way I have this comparison solver set up is it's actually kind of looking at the slope of this indicator, because it's comparing the current bar to one bar back. So it's comparing the current bar, which is the displacement of 0, to the previous bar back, which is a displacement of 1. And it's just saying that, hey, if the current bar is less than the previous bar, then give me a short. If the current bar is higher than the previous bar, then provide a long. So that's just a pretty simple comparison there. And this one when Noel set this indicator up to actually have a 2-point value system. So 1 point was calculated just based on the direction of the solver. So if the solver, or I mean, if the indicator was moving up, that was worth 1 point to the long side. If the indicator was moving down, it was worth 1 point to the short side. And then the other component, to get 2 points for this, he was looking at what the value of the indicator was. So we can see we have 2 here and -2. So if the indicator got above 2, that was worth an extra point. So essentially what I have is an extra point here. And once again, let me change the threshold value. There we go. Now it's painting the background. So we can see that whenever the momentum is below this -2, BloodHound is painting the background. And whenever it rises above 2, it's painting the background as well, because we have a full 1 value output. And so once again, these output parameters control the output to BloodHound. So if I set this to 0.5, then on the long side you would only get 0.5 out. So you can see there's 0.5, you follow the line across, so the long sides are only providing a 0.5 out. But the typical use for BloodHound is to provide a 1 output. And what this allows you to do, controlling the value of the output, is that's the fuzzy logic component to BloodHound. And so, you know, when most programmers are coding up a strategy, usually it comes down to like a true or false. Either all your conditions are true, and you can take the trade. You know, if one condition is false, then you would miss a trade. You could potentially miss a trade. So you know, it's you're all in, or you know, or if one value is missing, then you miss the trade. And what fuzzy logic allows is that we have these threshold values. And if I look on the logic tab, we have threshold values here. And I can adjust them down. So I can say I only need 90% of BloodHound of the output to take a trade. So if 90%, so kind of like this, the short version of this is, if 90% of my solvers are in the long direction, then that's good enough to take a trade. You know, or by default, we actually set it down. When you load BloodHound on a chart, by default, it's set to 80%. And so when 80% of your solvers are giving you a long output, essentially that's kind of like the fuzzy logic component, and that's saying that's good enough. So if you were to program a system like this, usually if one of your indicators is not agreeing, then you would miss the trade. But BloodHound allows you to say, well, 80% is good enough, so you know, maybe that's 2 of your conditions aren't being met, but they're close enough. Or one condition is almost there, and BloodHound will give you enough of an output to get you in the trade. So that's some of the advanced features of BloodHound. All right, so now if I take this AND logic, so to get the 2 points, you have to have both conditions agreeing with each other to get the 2 points out. So in other words, let me, so with the value being above 2 here, on this pullback bar, that actually negates the extra point. And so to negate that extra point, you have to AND it together with the direction of the indicator. So I ANDed them together. And if we take the output of the AND logic, and there we go. And let me readjust the outputs here. So I had them all set up for the point system.
Hey Zach, maybe what you could do is start a new logic template. Start clean, because there's a fair bit of stuff going on that screen there, and it might be easier to see kind of if you just had a brand new slate, and perhaps you know, those two examples that Zach showed you, I would say I also classify as you know, if you're a little bit confused by that, don't worry about that. It's you know, I'd say that we're skipping a few steps, maybe showing that. So the next one there being the HMA 921 slope, those are fairly basic. So maybe we could try that here, and that slow things down just a little bit. We've got about a half an hour left or so. So you know, if you have any burning questions, definitely type them in right now, and we'll try to address them before the end of this webinar.
All right, so yeah, let's analyze the slope of the HMA. This is a pretty simple analysis. So the HMA 9 is the white line here. Let me make this a little larger, thicker. And so when you refresh the chart, that has to close up the BloodHound window. And so we just click on the button and bring it right back. Alright, so what we're looking at, the way this slope solver is set up is by default, when the slope of the HMA is pointed up, you get a long output. And when it's pointing down, you get a short output. And this is a pretty fast moving average. So it's kind of difficult to use these parameters here, but these parameters can be used, this maximum slope and minimum slope, can be used to kind of filter out flat spots in your moving average, or whatever indicator you want to look at. You know, so if you had a 100 SMA indicator, you know, in this chop zone, that can begin to flatten out, and so you can use these minimum slopes to tell BloodHound that you don't want any kind of output when the indicator is too flat. And so BloodHound will only provide you a value when you have a certain slope. And so the 20 HMA, I called him the ham. Right, HMA. So I can just quickly rename these. So if I plug the 20 HMA, it's doing the same thing. It's just looking at the slope of the red line. The red line is the 20 HMA. And so when the red line is pointing up here, you can see we have a long output.
So why don't we show them what it looks like when you combine those two with an AND node. So the idea being that, all right, so now you've got the HMA 9. It goes green when it's going positive, and when it's heading south, it goes red. And then when you put them together with an AND node, what BloodHound does is it finds all those areas where they agree with each other. So that's when the HMA 9 is going up, and the HMA 20 is also going up as well.
Yeah, so here we can see there's no output from BloodHound here, and that's because one HMA is pointing up while the other one is pointing down, so they're not in agreement. And so with an AND logic, when they're both in agreement, right here they're both pointing down, we're getting a short output from BloodHound. And when they're both in agreement, when they're both turned up, we're getting a long output from BloodHound. So both conditions have to be true. So let me add another solver on here. So another thing that you can analyze is the regression slope. So you can see I have the ANA regression slope, which is available up on big mics. The good thing about this regression channel is you can scroll backwards on your chart and it keeps updating. Alright, so if we plug in the slope, we can see here let me kind of step through this. So we can see now that the regression channel has a slight positive slope, and so we're getting a long output on BloodHound. And as we cycle through, we can see that the slope is getting steeper and steeper. And when we get to this point where the green changes to red, we'll see that the regression channels will be pointing down at that point. There we go. So you can see that it's by putting my crosshair on it, on the midpoint, you can see it's slightly sloping down. And if I'd like, or I'll just kind of demonstrate the use of the minimum slope. So if I put 1 on here, let's see what happens. Typically for most indicators, I usually start at 0.1. Yeah, so let me start at 0.1. 0.1 is a good starting value for most indicators. Okay, there we go. So you can see there's a pretty good slope on the regression channel now. So as I step back, as it flattens out here, it's fairly flat. We can see that BloodHound is now not giving us an output because it's not meeting our minimum slope requirement. Now we can see as the slope increases, now BloodHound's providing us a long output. And as we step back to this bar, let me make sure, let's see, 50, and I want to check the period on the regression channel here. And that's up to 50, okay. Yeah, so one thing that's kind of hard to determine is, when you stretch the chart out, it affects it affects the look of the slope. So if I shrink this up.
Exactly, you have to change your maximum slope up as well.
So, oh, there we go, yep. Thank you. All right. So you can see the slope flattens out just enough right there. We can see on this bar it's a little steeper. We can watch the midline step up a little bit right there. So that slope is not steep enough to give us a long signal. And then you can see the slope steepened a little bit. The back end dropped down right there on that bar. And then we've got the output from BloodHound. See if I can find some more flat spots, but there we go. There. So this is pretty flat. So that's essentially what these minimum and maximum slope are there for. It's kind of filter out the flat areas. And let's move on to another Let's see. It looks like I was playing with this template because there's some solvers in here that were not a part of Noel's system. All right, let me add the. Go back to the Logic tab. I'm going to add the 55 permissive, and you can see right now I have it set on a 5 case bar. So I think, yeah, this template was, that's right, I was playing with it during another webinar. So I'm going to go into real-time mode and set this to a minute chart, the 1 minute chart. So in order to change a secondary time frame, you have to go into real-time mode, which is from the indicator window. And have BloodHound selected, and then go into the template. And we can see now we have this chart button that appears. And I can click on this secondary time frame, and I can set it to the minute chart. Set that to 1 minute to match this chart over here. And oh, there we go. All right, now I'm going to go back into real-time mode. Go back to the Logic tab, and so if I plug this solver right in, now let me change my crosshairs to global. And so what this solver is looking at is what you see on this chart here. It's looking for, whether price is above the EMA line or whether price is below the EMA line. So so you can see here that they're matching up. And the discrepancy here is, you can see how this is a long bar down to here. So you can see the wick on the 1 minute chart. You can see the wick of that. So when that bar was building on the 1 minute chart, the EMA was a little bit lower, but price was below the EMA at this particular time when that bar was building. Now, of course, you can't see that historically, but if you saw that bar building in real time, this is what you would get. You would get this short condition occurring. And since the 1 minute chart here is only showing historical values, it's not showing when price was actually down here building the bar. But on this time frame, the 233 tick, we can actually see that condition. And this is something special only within BloodHound. If you wrote your own indicator to do this, you wouldn't actually receive this short. This is a special implementation that Jeremy had to write to get BloodHound to do this. Yeah. And so that's simply the analysis. Here's another bar that did the same thing. So you can see on the 1 minute chart, when the bar closed, it actually closed above the white EMA line. But on the tick chart, on the right here, where this bar closed, it actually closed below that white EMA line. And so we got the correct value for on the tick chart.
Yeah, again, just remember, folks, if you're dealing with multiple time frames and you're using a combination of tick charts versus 1-minute charts, the closing of those bars are not synchronized, and so historically, NinjaTrader presents us with data that's can be a little bit inaccurate. The exceptions being with the EMA and SMA. There's a special kind of code in BloodHound to deal with it to actually eliminate those inaccuracies. But that only goes for those particular indicators at this moment in time. But just be aware that historical data is always going to have that kind of quirk to it. But as you're trading moving forward and you're forward testing with live market data, or actually trading for real, you will get accurate bar signals. Hans asking, what's the estimated release date of Falcon? We haven't. We've sort of been refusing to give out kind of an estimated release date. Just because we don't want to sort of build any false expectations. Just to let you know, we are working on it, and it's our intention, obviously, to try to get that out as soon as possible. But when we release Falcon, we want to make sure it's rock solid, as people will be putting potentially real money on the line here, and our system's got to be it's got to manage the trades effectively and as bug free as possible. Just to reduce the problems that people are, may have with a product like that. So, but we're shooting for a very aggressive time frame. I'm sorry, I really can't be kind of more specific than that. Just trying to let you know that it's definitely high on the priority list. Estimated price point, we don't really have one right now. I guess what I could say is again, BloodHound and Falcon will actually work together in concert with each other. And in fact, Falcon alone will work just fine. But if you have BloodHound, you can actually integrate a lot more power with it, because it will actually take advantage of BloodHound's logic engine, and you can use Falcon with the with BloodHound. You can actually use Falcon to analyze indicators and incorporate that stuff into your stop management strategy. And you could pull data in from higher time frames, lower time frames. Look at specific price and resistance levels or support and resistance levels, and incorporate that data into your stop management as well. So I'm aware that that NinjaTrader has an ATM, or automated trading management capability, but Falcon definitely takes it to the next level. And certainly with BloodHound included, when you work with them both together, that's a fully blown automated trading system that you can create just using visual programming like this. And anybody that does buy BloodHound first will certainly be in granting you guys a good pricing scheme to make sure that just to thank you for being an early adopter of BloodHound. So we'll make it worth your while, I suppose I could say. The existing BloodHound users will be one step ahead, not only from the pricing standpoint, but also from a knowledge standpoint, because once Falcon is released, and if you intend to use it with BloodHound as an entry engine, just having the knowledge of how to use BloodHound will get you to your goal in terms of getting a fully blown automated trading system that much quicker. So that's correct. We are designing Falcon to actually run on its own, and that's actually something that we're working on in terms of how much capability Falcon's going to have on its own. In terms of, are you going to supply signals programmatically, or currently right now you just press buttons, kind of very much like the chart trader and NinjaTrader. You press buttons to buy and sell positions. And then sort of it runs away and does the trade management automatically from that point forward. But again, Falcon will manage trades, and BloodHound gets you in, Falcon gets you out. We'll put it that for now. How long has BloodHound been marketed? Yeah, so we just launched April 1st, I believe, was our May. Yeah, April 1st was our official. April 4th actually was our official launch day. And prior to that, we held a little bit of a beta test, public beta test, a really short one. But it's only been 2 months now, and the reception's been tremendous. This is obviously a tool that it seems like people need, and it saves those of you that have tried to code up your own strategies or indicators, or even gone to the step of hiring someone to do it for you. This definitely eliminates that step. Bob asks, something I've missed from the TradeStation days is the include strategy that permitted the combining of individual strategies into one. Oh, interesting. That's a great suggestion. BloodHound can do something similar to that in terms of you can load templates and you can copy them, and with that copied one you can sort of okay. Actually, maybe I'll back up and I'll say Falcon will allow you to do that in terms of you'll be able to create multiple or run multiple BloodHound signals. So maybe you had 5 strategies that you're running, and you define each one of these strategies into separate BloodHound templates. So imagine again you have 5 template files, 5 BloodHound entry logic templates. And what you could do with Falcon is you could actually incorporate all 5 of them and trade them all, any number of them really, and set rules in terms of be able to take positions when positions are already on or not do that. So Falcon is fairly flexible in that sense. Yeah, thanks, Bob. We definitely. Like I said, getting a lot of interest in Falcon. So we recognize that the demand for that is extremely high. So we've got that on very high on our priority list, as I mentioned before. So it looks like we're kind of nearing the end here of this webinar. Certainly, if you guys have any more questions, shoot them in now, and we'll answer them. And again, we run this webinar, this workshop every Wednesday at the same time, and those of you that we don't want to overload you with too much in one go. But my suggestion for those of you that are new and just learning or just seeing BloodHound for the first time, my suggestion is to check out our website and go to our video tutorial section. Check out the quick start guide, and go through just those videos, and we even have template files that you can load into BloodHound so you can follow along, and you can see exactly how they're implemented. And by then you probably have some more questions, and you can just join us on the next webinar next week, and we'll field those questions, and we'll just keep kind of doing that process until you feel comfortable enough to start developing your own systems within BloodHound. Steve says, okay, so it's, okay, yeah, Steve, yeah, I just want to iterate. So Steve actually looks like a programmer. He actually codes, and it looks like he'll save time, but not be able to get back to the code as a limitation I just want to mention, Steve, so certainly, the idea behind BloodHound is think of it as something that it could extend your already existing logic. So perhaps you have your entry logic or some filters already coded in, and maybe you've got some strategy. Maybe you've developed a fully blown entry a management system already. What you can simply do is combine the output signals from BloodHound with your maybe existing code, and sort of combine the logic too. So you can almost, if you can visualize it, you maybe have BloodHound as your filter engine, and then you can play around with your filters on the fly. Very quickly change them up, and then they just get plugged right into your existing code as an additional, maybe permissive to go short or long, and that's a way that certainly if I was a developer in your shoes would use this kind of product, because now then you can prototype and you can save a tremendous amount of time just testing out new things, but not kind of give up on existing work that you've done maybe. So perhaps that might be something to think about. It's a in your instance, like for those people that don't know how to code, it's basically a solution to something that they couldn't do before. But for people like say yourself, who does have the ability to code, it's an extreme time-saving device. And if you could imagine, like like I mentioned sort of in the webinar, I've been developing since I was a little kid. So it's pretty much my entire professional career in my life. And some of the things that Zach has just implemented using BloodHound, it would take me months to do, or certainly weeks in some situations, just to get right and get done. And especially if you're in that phase where you're just testing stuff and you're just trying new things out, like you want those iterations to be as quick as possible. So if you're spending even just days, maybe each iteration, that consumes a lot of time, and in the long run, it could add up to a lot. Versus if you could, say you got a couple ideas to filter out some signals, you'd have BloodHound already plugged into your strategy, and you just, try it out. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. It takes you 5 minutes to try it, and then move on to the next thing. So we have other customers that kind of take that approach, and they really appreciate the fact that, even though we charge basically $4.95 a license, and you could argue, well, I could sort of do this by myself. It's BloodHound was basically 2 years of development time, so there's a fair bit of technology in there, and you can sort of ask yourself, well, is it worth me sort of spending months at a time, maybe performing these different iterations and programming them myself, or perhaps I could just save myself the trouble and have this really quick prototyping tool that allows me to create filters and even generate new signals in conjunction with my existing stuff, and do that for $500, which it's sort of, again, it's a trade-off in terms of how much time are you willing to put in versus if you want to save that time and accelerate your quest on finding a great tradable system. It's sort of that's a question I guess only you can answer. Yeah, Steve. Well, actually, about the drawing objects, since you're a programmer, actually, that would be fairly trivial to do in terms of you could just wrap the BloodHound indicator, much like the strategy examples we have on the website there. Wrap it around and just whenever you see long and short signals, just simply write the code to paint the signals as well. So that's only a couple lines of code to do that, something like that. Kumar asks, so BloodHound is used as an indicator, and it gives long and short signals, which can be used directly in the strategy. That's precisely true, Kumar. Exactly. That's exactly how. Yes.
Jeremy.
Go ahead.
Just to kind of expand upon Steve's question, the coder. If you have some special conditions in your strategies, such as a complex math formula or something such as that, you could easily produce a plot out that BloodHound can read, so you could easily modify, if you have any custom indicators, and modify so that BloodHound can read it, and then you can use BloodHound to quickly analyze the various conditions that you might be looking at for your indicator. As I threw an example up on this chart here, one of our customers has this hourly intraday pivots, and he wanted his signal to occur like at a certain percentage between the PP line, which is this white line, and the R1 or the S1. And so he had this indicator written by his buddy, and he wanted to know when price was below this certain percentage between the two lines here, the R1 and the PP. And so all BloodHound needed to do that was to have a value of what that percentage was. And so I was able to just quickly modify his indicator, and then he could type in the percentage that he wanted to analyze into the indicator, and then do the same thing on BloodHound, and he could quickly continue on testing out this new type of filter, this new theory. So that it's another way that BloodHound can be helpful towards developers. So.
And Bob is asking, how do we find out when new versions of Build a Bloodhound is released? I apologize. I just released 1.04, but I just haven't announced it yet in the newsletter. But that's how you'd find out. We just join the newsletter, which I know, Bob, you're already on it. And in fact, when you do a purchase, you get included as well in the newsletter, and that's how you find out when the new releases are. And sometime later today or tomorrow morning, I'll be sending out the new release, just announcing that 1.04 has been released. Han actually asks, if Bloodhound is integrated with a strategy, are you saying you can modify your Bloodhound code real time and the strategy will adapt? Yes, you certainly can. Absolutely, if you can do it in the middle of trading. Not that I'd recommend that, but you certainly can. You can have it. Well, you can do it, in fact, in the middle of a position, or even when data's flying in, screaming in your face, and you can make adjustments that way. A common use that some people do is as you saw, Zach earlier had defined a couple different logic templates. So you could have, for example, maybe a strategy that works good under, let's say, very trendy markets, and market condition, and so you got another strategy that works good when it's maybe going really flat in the market conditions, very sideways, and you could just swap between the two on the fly. So you could have you go into trending mode in your strategy, and then you switch over to the trending logic template, and then when you see visually that maybe you want to change it up a little bit, and the market starts behaving differently, just switch it over to your other logic template. So actually, yeah. See, Zach, why don't you just put that drop down again there, and click the one on the top of the chart, actually, on the top by the top in the actual chart itself. If you go to the right there, where Bloodhound is, it's got that drop down. Yeah. So that's for example. Yeah. So that could be for you maybe have a couple of logic templates defined for different market conditions, or whatever you desire, say, and you could literally be trading, and on the fly you just switch between the two, or switch between ones that you saw fit, depending on whatever situation maybe calls for it. Andrew's Forks. Okay, so Han asked something about the Andrew's Forks. I'll be totally honest. I'm not very familiar with Andrew's Forks. I believe they're kind of like maybe the regression channel indicator, as in that you have to draw them. No, not the regression channel, but am I correct in saying those are indicators that have to be kind of drawn onto your chart? I guess suffice to say, if it's not like a kind of a standard indicator, and it's one of those ones that you have to draw on the chart, Bloodhound currently doesn't support that yet. Okay, thanks, Steve. So yeah, so Steve does mention the Andrews Forks are drawn objects. So because those are manually drawn, we just don't have a way currently to hook up something that's manually drawn on your chart to Bloodhound. So Bloodhound is sort of designed to be kind of as automated as possible in terms of its inputs. But that does give me some neat ideas, actually. Maybe Han, I'll just be thinking about that, and perhaps in a future version you might see something related to being able to draw things on your chart and have Bloodhound read that. But of course, I won't make any promises until something like that is actually done. But it's great to be in these webinars because I get to see some feedback here from people and get ideas all the time.
That's kind of dependent on what data NinjaTrader would expose about that object. So, and here's something to back to one of Steve's questions here. This indicator, the TC trending TSF, it has a bool out. it has this bool series, and so I'm using this bool series input into BloodHound. And as a programmer, Steve, you probably know that a true would be 1 and a false would be 0. And so that's how I have this threshold indicator set up. So when we have a true condition, the long side gives us an output of 1, and when we have a short or a false condition, we have a 1 output on the short side. And so we can see here I have just this indicator plugged into the result, and so we can see when the indicator turns blue, the bool series is true, and BloodHound recognizes that. And then when the indicator is down, that bool series equals false, and BloodHound is showing us the converting that into a short. And then get this one little blip up. So.
Oh, I did want to ask one more question to you guys before we go. And I don't have a poll for this, but I'm just going to throw it out there because we'd like to know, like, just stuff you've seen so far. And some of you guys have actually been using BloodHound for a little while now, but some of you guys are completely brand new to it. So don't be worried if you suggest something that maybe is already implemented. But we want to know if there were, say, one thing you'd like to see, maybe it's either an improvement or a feature that you'd like to see in BloodHound, what would it be? So feel free to just pipe up and just type it in, and we can sort of take that back. And we love suggestions all the time. So I think we're going to try to be a little more proactive with interacting with users and potential users on a kind of on an ongoing basis, and asking for feedback regularly in terms of what would you like to see. If this was your dream product, what one feature would you like to put in there, that would complete your circle, if you will. And I'll probably be asking this, maybe I'll just start asking it maybe every time we have a webinar, and expect to probably changes as you start to learn the system and pick up what it can and cannot do already. But those of you that are new, don't be afraid to pipe in as well with your suggestions as well, because I'd like to get as much information from people like yourselves and like real traders and beginning traders, expert traders, all over the board. I want to see kind of what is the what features would you like to see in BloodHound, and what features do you think need improvement? Yeah, so great suggestion, guys. Great suggestions. Like, we'll be saving all of these suggestions as well, and looking back at them. So yeah, for sure, Bob. Yeah, we're having a wizard or something to guide the user. That's absolutely something that that I'd like to see in there as well. Alfred asks, does BloodHound have consecutive up and down bars of close? Okay, yeah. So Alfred, actually, there are ways using displacement to count consecutive bars, and we have period values on certain things that will let you sort of simulate a counting. So if you want to say, I want 2 bars up above this, or 2 bars below that, or 5 bars, but I guess the short answer I'd like to give you is we could do it better. There's a way, there's a node that that's basically on a list of features that we want to add to BloodHound that's going to let you count the number of bars, consecutive bars, that may maintain a certain feature. So for example, if you want to see 3 bars above this last high or something like that, we're working on a node that you can plug in that will count 3 bars and then give you a signal after the 3rd one. So that is on the to-do list. It's not complete yet, but that's something that that we're definitely going to be adding to version 1 of this product. So so I hope that answers your question there. Bercy, yeah, wizard, yeah, okay, I understand for sure. By the way, guys, we had a fantastic suggestion from another customer that said, hey, if you guys could post like example trading systems that are already done, that'd be fantastic. So our website actually has a. Let me see if I can steal the. Or maybe Zach, do you want to pull up a web browser there real quick and just show them the downloads page? I just want to show you it's under, yeah, there we go. So go to the Bloodhound, Learn Bloodhound, and then at the bottom there you see downloads. Not only do we have sort of these examples all sprinkled throughout the website, but we actually have the all the chart templates as well downloadable, and you just put them into your NinjaTrader 7 templates Bloodhound directory. And each one of these, again, they're usually associated with some sort of lesson or tips and tricks video. But if you want to see them all in one place, that's where they are. So maybe you can either look at them there or in context with the lesson itself. Okay, so Han's asking for obviously Han, it sounds like you're a programmer for sure. Comm communication is definitely possible with .NET. So you want to see Bloodhound interface with other trading platforms through NinjaTrader. Okay, yeah, that's maybe a little bit outside even my expertise in terms of exporting or to other platforms and whatnot. As you know, like a Bloodhound was designed specifically for NinjaTrader. So I'm not even sure, to be honest, what capability say NinjaTrader provides in terms of exporting or allowing, like, exposing signals outside its own platform to other trading platforms. So I'm afraid I can't provide a great answer there, but that's something. So maybe something I haven't looked at yet at this time. So I'm sorry about that, Han. Bercy, yep, for sure. Divergence, again, that's something we're working on. Like I said, Zach's got a solution if you just contact him directly about that. But the long-term game obviously would be to put some sort of native support in Bloodhound with Divergence. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, that's absolutely something. That's absolutely something that would have to be accounted for in the counting bars. Bloodhound does have a price versus oscillation divergence capability. If so, what are the parameters for? Okay, so in terms of divergence, Bob, again, I think at this point in time, because Bloodhound doesn't directly support divergence. And again, that's a long-term thing that we wanted to eventually. But the best thing to do is just get a hold of Zach directly. He does have a divergence solution existing already. So I guess I'll leave it up to him because kind of before he jumped onto Shark Indicators, Zach was actually contributing a lot of stuff to the Big Mike's trading forum, and he actually has a divergence indicator as well. That he did sort of in his second life, prior to all this stuff, and I'll just sort of leave it up to him whether or not he'd like to sell that or it's sort of his own intellectual property. But like I mentioned, Bob, the long-term game would be to eventually put some sort of divergence support into Bloodhound. Alfred asks like C++ or MS Excel coding. Okay, well, yeah. Alfred, I know you're not. I think you're pretty new to NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader has got a full-blown C# development engine built right into the platform. So if you're a developer, you'll be very interested in that because C# is actually much easier to use than C++. That's for sure. And it's all based on the .NET platform, and I definitely recommend taking a look at that because certainly if you're a programmer, you can incorporate Bloodhound into your own custom coded strategies or indicators using C#. Zach, maybe just send both Bercy and Bob your Big Mike's trading forum name, or you can also get a hold of him, Zach White at sharkindicators.com.
Yeah, so just to let you guys know, I posted my kind of like my first version up on Big Mike's. It's I posted it up there in just one of the forums, for free. It's kind of like a beta. Well, the one I left up there is not beta. It is fully functioning, although that was way before BloodHound came about, and so it didn't have output signals for a signal. So I have done that, and I'm working on putting together my own website where I'll have a retail version with a lot more options built into it and capabilities built into it. So I'm just putting my website together for that. That way I can license it as well. All right. So just to answer an earlier question, it's kind of a partial answer about about having a counting node. But as far as the bar direction, that is built in. So you can see here I have this bar direction solver set to requiring 3 bars in the same direction, and then BloodHound will confirm that with a long or a short output. My chart's getting a little cluttered here. Let me stretch these bars out. There we go. So we got 1, 2, 3 bars down, and it gives us a short here. Another 1, 2, 3 bars down. But but to expand upon this logic here, we'll be adding another solver that can count other conditions. Essentially, it'll just be a solver counting any kind of condition that occurs. So.
Cool. Okay. Well, Steve, I'm not sure who you're asking, but if you're looking for Zach's, you want to get a hold of Zach for the divergence indicator. It's Zach White at sharkindicators.com. But thanks to everybody for coming today. I really appreciate it. And sorry, one quick thing. Yes, Steve. Basically, you purchased BloodHound once, and you're eligible for all the upgrades for version 1 of the product. When we do kind of step up to version 2, it's just kind of like a standard kind of software license. We'll just have, you can optionally upgrade for a modest upgrade fee, and that just sort of keeps our engine running and keeps allows us to reinvest revenue back into the product and make it better for you guys. So last thing I want to add is, you guys, we do give you unlimited support. If you ever need a one-on-one session, again, these webinars are every week, so we try to handhold you as much as possible to get to say the proficiency, at least or say where Zach is at, allowing you a lot of power and flexibility. Mm-hmm. Do you think Falcon will cost 2 times BloodHound? Alfred, I'm afraid I really can't speculate or comment on it yet, just because the honest truth is we just haven't decided yet. So once we have and we're ready to sort of present to the world what we're going to do, we'll definitely let you know.
Mm-hmm. And if any of you guys need some help while you're on your trial period, feel free to add me to your Skype if you're using Skype. So my Skype handle is Zach White SI, and my email address is zachwhite@sharkindicators.com. And you can also schedule a one-on-one meeting with me if you go to the Shark Indicators website and go to Contact Us section, and you'll see on the bottom right of the page there's a button there where you can schedule a one-on-one training with me. All right. And so if you guys do add me to Skype, if you see me online, that means I'm available for Bloodhound support anytime. So,
All right, great. Thanks, guys. I'm going to stop the recording now, and again, just join us next week, and we'll be covering something different. And of course, if you want us to cover something specific, just feel free to email us beforehand, or bring it to the next webinar. And certainly, if you got a mic too, and you prefer to talk, instead of typing into the chat window, feel free to do that as well. All right.
oh, maybe let's mention Noel real quick on Monday.
Oh, right. Sorry, guys. One last announcement. Noel, who is our kind of a friend trader, he's actually planning on starting up a trading room, and he's a fantastic trader. He does some scalping, so there's a lot of kind of fast action trading, if you will. And he's we're going to do a bit of a trial run on Monday. Just to see, he just wants to try out running the room and see what that's like. Just to be sort of a disclaimer, Noel actually isn't officially affiliated with Shark Indicators. We're good friends, and from what I've seen, he's done some fantastic work. But Noel is not actually part of Shark Indicators on an official basis. But he's using BloodHound right now to do his discretionary trading, and he's doing quite well at it. So I thought it'd be great to invite him in and have a session on Monday morning, which I'll be announcing on the newsletter. The details of how to join up and watch that, just as a free thing. You can just check it out. Come and join us Monday morning. See what it's like. And just to preface it, I mean, Noel's definitely not a programmer. In fact, to some degree, he's not super computer illiterate even. So it's most definitely possible, even if you're not at the level of, say, some of these more advanced guys that have been questioning us, like Steve and Bercy, Han, and Kumar. I mean, it's obvious that you guys, and Alfred as well, and Bob, all have definitely some technical background there. Even if you don't have that capability, and you're, say, at maybe Noel's level, it's definitely possible to pick up BloodHound and learn and use it, and actually trade successfully with it. So yeah, Noel considers himself a trader first, and not a computer user. So yeah, stay tuned on the website, basically not the website, but the newsletter, which you can join up on. I'll just make sure as well, you guys, and all the guys that joined up on this webinar are included in that list as well. So I'll be announcing that later today or tomorrow morning, and with the details. All right. Kumar, yes. He's just asking the templates. The templates will also be posted with this webinar recording.
Yeah. So this is actually the tips and the video tutorial section, but on the tips and tricks page, on the webinar page, we also include the templates, the BloodHound template and the chart template. So.
Okay. Well, you guys have yourself a great day, and if we don't hear from you until next week, have yourself a great weekend, and hopefully you'll join us next week for next week's webinar. And if you can, I'd recommend checking out Noel's trading room that we're just gonna give it a shot and see how he does on Monday morning. So stay tuned to the website with the newsletter, and we'll hope to see you soon. Thanks a lot, guys.